From half-human hybrids, genetically enhanced fighters, to the deadly evolved races of an alien threat. The sci-fi universe of Infinity is filled to the brim with expert combatants, but which of these stand as the deadliest warrior? Hello, and welcome to another video here at Tabletop Buffoon. Today, we are going to be ranking and going over some of the strongest melee units in Infinity. Let's go over on what I am ranking these units on for this list. First off, in an active turn attack, any skills that are relevant to close combat, winning an encounter, or doing extra damage. I'm also taking into account their close combat ability using optimal modifiers in active turn, and also any negative ones towards opponents. I'm also going over how many dice are rolled when the unit attacks, including any ally peripheral, skills, and weapon modifiers. How much damage an attack does, what type of ammunition, and how many potential saves the opponent would have to make. I am doing a test against certain units to compare and contrast results of a fight, to see the chances of winning a face-to-face and the chances to kill or wound that enemy. The first unit I'm contrasting these against is Achilles. Achilles is a great martial artist and has excellent durability, which makes him a prime target. I'm also using the Jotun. As the Jotun has the highest defense values in the game, I want to see how these units would stack up damage-wise to it. The last unit I'm testing is the Digger. The Digger are a representation of a light unit with natural-born warrior and a decent close combat ability. For notes, I am not taking into account defense or cost efficiency, just pure output in a face-to-face battle. As an example, we will be using the very much feared Polaris Bearpode. Here for the skills, you can see the close combat attack plus 2 damage and berserk, which are both relevant in a close combat attack. Now the close combat skill of the Bearpode is 24, it has a burst of 1, the damage is 18 with the skill, it's also armor piercing, and it will force the opponent to make 1 or more saves when a crit is landed. Now we're going to be going over some of the chances against these units that I've picked out. So, against Achilles, the Bearpode will have a 22% chance to win, thanks to Achilles having the martial arts level 4 skill, and only a 19% to wound. Versus a Jotun, it will have a 72% chance to win, as the Bearpode has a much higher close combat skill than the Jotun, and a 52% to wound, thanks to its AP hammer. Versus a Digger, it's going to have a 60% chance to win, and a 50% to outright kill. At number 10, we have the Caledonian Wolver, full of bloodshed and adrenaline, Caden Dawn. Now for the first unit, Caden Dawn, you'll see that he has the skills of Martial Arts Level 2 and Natural Born Warrior. And this is a common occurrence that you'll see throughout the list, because both of those skills combined make a soldier that is able to both take out martial arts units and normal units with ease. Now Caden Dawn sits on top of them, not only because of that, but he also comes with a Berserk plus 3 and a CC attack with armor piercing, meaning that he can bring down even the toughest of foes. His potential close combat skill would be that of 26, inflicting a -3 to their opponent. Only a burst of 1, but with a damage of 15, and armor piercing and T2, forcing the opponent to take 2 wounds upon a save. Now versus Achilles, Caden Dawn only has a 67% chance to win. Versus Achilles, Caden only has a 67% chance to win, a 51 to wound. Versus a Jotun, an 86 and a 52 to wound. And versus a Digger, a 56 and a 35% to kill. Now, here it's important to see that against somebody like Achilles, who is a beast of a melee unit, he'll have a higher chance being able to deny his martial arts and still have his up. And that's really what makes Caden Dawn such a great unit in melee. At number 9, we have another Caledonian. This time, a man lean on fighting life with his fist. Like Caden Dawn, Den McConnelly has a combination of martial arts and the natural-born warrior skill. He also has the Berserk and a metachemistry reroll, which may allow him to potentially gain an extra advantage in combat. His close combat skill is only 23, applying a -3 to opponent. But what Den McConnelly has over other units is that he's granted the heavy pistol plus 1 burst, being able to shoot twice into melee combat, with a burst up to 2. Den McConnelly is doing 14 damage on his heavy pistol, or 15 damage with an AP plus DA CC weapon, up to 2+ saves in melee. This means that in combat versus Achilles, he has a higher chance to win, and only a 52% chance to wound. Versus a Yotum, you want to be using his APDA weapon, which is also great, meaning he has an 80% chance to win and a 60% to wound using that weapon. Against a Digger, switching back to the heavy pistol, you have a 71% chance to win and a 25% to kill. Denley Connolly not only is one of the best CC fighters, but he is also extremely cheap and just great at moving up the board, throwing out smoke, and covering other units that come along with him. Moving to the combined army, we have a senior tunnel crumbler Sargoj, a veteran in his line of work, known for his durability and strength. Coming in with the martial arts level tree and natural born warrior skill means that Sargoj has a favorable matchup against a lot of enemies. He starts with a CC of 24, adding the martial arts, he goes up to 27, forcing a -3 to the opponent. He comes with a breaker pistol, which is great thanks to its armor-piercing and BTS attack. Most importantly, he comes with a D-Charge. A D-Charge being able to attack with a 14 damage, armor-piercing, and explosive weapon. Not only that, but he can also use his regular CC weapon, having a 16 damage DA weapon, forcing 3-2 saves on a potential hit. Versus Achilles, Sargoj has a 70% chance to win, and a 25% to outright kill him. Against a Yotum, he has an 88% chance to win, and 76% to wound. And against a Digger, he has a 60% chance to win, and a 43% to kill. Now, what really makes Sargoj great is being able to use that D-Charge in melee. It allows Sargoj to basically punch up against units that it has no right taking out that fast. Interesting part about Sargoj is I don't really consider him that great of a unit in terms of what role he fulfills. But when it comes to close combat, he's definitely one of the best fighters that the combined army has access to. Continuing with the combined army, we have some of the most renowned hunters that the Morats have access to. Coming in with martial arts level 1 and natural born warrior, the Tyra can negate and attack at the same time. Having a CC skill of 23, applying a -3 to their opponent. What makes them great is that they also have the heavy pistol +1 burst, but they also come with a profile available to take a Skurgot peripheral, specifically in Morats. Meaning that the Skurgot can grant an additional dice in combat by being an ally in melee. This burst basically grants the Tyrok an advantage that other units don't have access to, having a burst of up to 3 if you use the Skurgot. Now the damage, it's only a 14 damage with the heavy pistol, and it will basically force the opponent to take up to 3 saves when hit correctly. Now versus Achilles, the Tyrok on 3 dice has a 78% chance to win and a 63% to wound. Versus a Yotum, it has a 92% chance to win the fight and 45% to take a wound. And versus the Diggers, it has a 78% chance to win and a 38% to outright kill. Now the Tyroks are a great unit because they both come with a T2 rifle, they come with mines, and they come with a peripheral, which allows them to move up the board and do different kinds of actions with that peripheral while also being a deadly foe in melee. They also have Dogged, which makes them quite resilient. Making part of the Spetsgruppe G Special Forces, Pavl Alexi McMinis is one of the strongest foes that you could face in melee combat. And I want to talk specifically about the amount of skills that Pavl has at its disposal. One, it does come with the deadly combo of martial arts and natural born warrior, like many of the other units. But it also has access to camouflage and surprise attack, meaning that apart from the martial arts bonus, they can get an additional negative to the opponent. As you see here, their CC is potentially 29 when using Berserk, and they can inflict a -6 to the opponent's roll when coming out of camouflage. Now, Pavl also comes with the D-Charges, which means that his attacks will be specifically deadly, only having a burst of 1, but with the D-Charges, Pavl has 14 damage with an armor-piercing explosive weapon or a T2 weapon that inflicts 2 damage. And with the D-Charge, the enemy will have to be making up to 3 saves in one hit. Versus Achilles, Pavl has a 78% chance to win, including all the modifiers that you can get, and a 25% to kill. Same thing with the Yotum. We have a 95% chance to win, a 79% to wound him, versus a Digger, a 69% chance to win, and a 32% to kill. Pavl is not only a great warrior, but he's also a great specialist operative that you can put up the midfield, and you can be comfortable in knowing that he can take most fights and do fairly well in them. At number 5, we have the Titan Colossus of Steel Phalanx, Ajax the Great. Now, Ajax is particularly good, not only because he has martial arts level 3 and natural born warrior, but because of the stats that he comes with. He comes with a natural close combat of 24, but with martial arts level 3, he can bump that up to 27, in berserk up to 30, giving a -3 to the opponent as well. Coming with only a burst of 1, but he also carries with him an explosive weapon. With physical 16, he can bring that up all the way to 18 damage, forcing their opponents to take up to 3 saves. Versus Achilles, Aegis has a 70% chance to win and a 38% to outright kill him. Versus a Yotum, he has an 88% chance to win and a 75% to wound. Versus the Diggers, he has a 60% chance to win and a 50% to kill. Now, Ajax is basically a behemoth of a unit. Not only is he great in melee, he's super durable, and he comes with the +1 burst for his BS attack, so he's also going to be a fairly dangerous threat in ranged combat. If that wasn't enough, he also has an armor-piercing heavy pistol, which he can also use in close combat, granting that armor-piercing for any tough foes. But usually the explosive 18 damage is good enough to kill almost anything. Apart from that, he has great armor and BTS, just makes him a really durable, tough to beat down foe in combat. At number 4, we have one of the long-lost reincarnation of one of the best swordsmen in history. Miyamoto Musashi in JSA is one of the greatest fighters in combat in Infinity, mainly because he has the skill Martial Arts Level 5, granting him an extra burst in close combat. Martial Arts Level 5 is just a much better skill than Martial Arts Level 4. The +1 burst makes a significant difference. He also comes with the CC attack armor piercing, which is great at taking out foes. His close combat skill is that of 25, which is the highest base in the game, and it can be buffed to 28 with the martial arts, giving a -3 to the opponent. He has a burst of 2 against units with non-natural born warrior. He also has a damage of 17, which is fairly high, including that he has an explosive armor-piercing weapon, basically forcing the opponent to take up to 6+ saves, which is one of the highest that you can get. Now, versus Achilles, Miyamoto Musashi has a 62% chance to win and a 51% to kill. Even though he doesn't negate his martial arts, the extra dice pushes him enough to win the fight. Against the Yotum, he has an easy 94% chance to win and an 80% to kill. Against a Digger, he has a 64% chance to win and a 46% to kill. Now, Miyamoto Musashi and JSA in general have a lot of great melee fighters, and you'll find that it's very hard to kind of take down Musashi in combat, especially if your unit doesn't have Natural Born Warrior. But even if they do have Natural Born Warrior, they're going to be hard trying to get through the CC-25 of Musashi. The stealthy assassin units of the Oniwaban are some of the greatest spies and martial arts experts that Infinity has to offer. Shinobu Kitsune is one of their strongest and most feared assassins. Kitsune, like Miyamoto, has a very similar stat line, but what puts up Kitsune above Musashi is being able to go in camouflage and having that surprise attack, while also having a deadly weapon that can basically one-shot any enemy in the game. Now, coming in with Martial Arts Level 5, again, means that she's going to have that extra burst that most units don't have, and she comes with the CC of 25 and potentially 28 with the martial arts, and more importantly, she applies a -6 coming out of camouflage to your opponent. Again, having a burst of 2 against non-natural born warrior units, a damage of 12 with a monofilament weapon, which means that the weapon has a chance to just straight up kill them. It reduces their armor to 0, completely ignoring the armor stat, and as soon as that unit fails to save, it doesn't go to unconscious, it goes straight to dead. In general, you can expect 2+ saves from Shinobu. Versus Achilles, she has a 77% chance to win off, and a 65% to outright kill him. Against a Yotum, she has a 95% chance to win, and an 86% to kill. And against a Digger, she has a 75% chance to win, and a 52% to kill. As you can see, Shinobu is one of the deadliest units in the game. Not only that, but you can put her right in front of your opponent and be able to absolutely make mincemeat out of any unit that they may have in front. At number 2, we have a very well-known unit, and that is the Nerkius, one of the Umbra Samaritan's deadliest operatives, and one of the strongest melee weapons that the Combined Army has to offer. Now, what makes the Umbra Samaritan strong is, yes, it comes with martial arts level 4, but it comes with CC attack plus 1 burst, which is a very elusive skill. And not only does it have the CC attack plus 1 burst, it stacks it up with its amazing CC 25 and the ability Prophion, able to suck up wounds from organic matters and gain extra health back to the unit. Now, martial arts level 4 allows the unit to go up to 28 and give a -3 to the opponent. And what's important here with the CC attack plus 1 burst is that Natural Born Warrior will not take off the +1 burst like martial arts level 5 would with Musashi or Shinobu, which is why I've put him higher. The Nerkius, like Shinobu, has some of the strongest weapons available at his disposal. Not only does he have a normal plus EM weapon that allows him to isolate units, he also comes with the Vorpal weapon, which, like the Monofilament Blade, sets an armor completely to 0 and sets the unit to dead if hit. Now, only being damaged 12 is a setback, but he can always use his normal weapon at 15, and he's always going to be fighting with 2 bursts, putting him at a great advantage and an amazing chance to outright kill the unit when it comes out. Versus Achilles, you'll see that he has a 62% chance to win and a 52% to outright kill him. Against a Jotun, a 94% chance to win and an 85% to kill. And against a Digger, a 77% chance to win and a 65% to kill. Now, against a Digger is important to look at because Shinobu does not have the same odds that the Nerkius has, being able to keep his +1 burst against Natural Born Warrior. Now, the Nerkius in general is a monster of a unit, and people fear him, and they've tried to use him in many ways. And although he is tricky, if you do get off the dream of getting him into melee and activating Prophion, he is unstoppable to kill. Because not only does he have the CC attack +1 burst, he has bioimmunity, and he has the no wound incap with the shock, being potentially a 4-wound model that is immune to most ammo. You can also take him as a hacker, which is amazing because he has a willpower of 15, which makes him one of the strongest hackers. Coming in is no surprise to nobody. At number 1, we have the Uber Folk Commando. Modified human chimeras, masked undercover agents accompanied by illegal animal-like human hybrids. The chimera stalk the underbellies of the Bakunin ship. Now, what are they great at? The chimeras basically have it all. They have the martial arts, they have the burst, they have the modifiers, they have natural born warriors, and they have the peripherals. Meaning, this unit is capable of taking down anything in the game in melee combat. Now, let's get into it. So, like I said, they have martial arts level 2, they have the CC attack -3, natural born warrior, and they can take up to 3 allied pupniks. The chimeras have a CC of 24 and potentially 27 using the martial arts skill, including giving the opponent a -6 debuff. With a burst of up to 3 or 4, depending on how many pupniks you can get into close combat. You have a unit that has 14 damage, DA weapon, making up to 8 saves against BTS on the opponent. Versus Achilles, the Uber Fall Commando has 90% chance to win. It has a 65% to outright kill him. Versus a Jotun, a 95% to win, and a 40% to kill. Against a Digger, a 92% chance to win, and an 87% to kill. You see, the combination of having the best skills in the game, along with a tool to allow them to have extra burst, and the weapons that allow them to get up close, is what really makes the Uberfall Commando undoubtedly the deadliest unit in Infinity. Now, apart from that, the Uberfall Commando is extremely cheap for what it does. Coming in only at 20 points with the Tree Pupniks, you have a unit that can take Eclipse Grenades to cover the field and cover their advance. So not only do they cover themselves, they're extremely fast, and they're easy to get into the opponent's field, but they will basically tear up anything in melee. And this is that monstrous beast that you need to take out before it becomes a real problem. And because of that, the Uberfall Commando are clearly the standout winners of any fight in close combat. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this little list I've made here, covering who is the deadliest melee unit in all of Infinity. So yeah, if you liked the video, subscribe, and let me know what your thoughts are, and if there's anything I miss. I will note that there's some modifiers that I did ignore, like the stun guns or stun weapons, which do no damage, so I did not include them.